There you go, just starting you off now.
Says we're live. Okay. Well, good evening, everybody, and fellow councillors, and to any members of the public who may be watching on webcast. Welcome to the Town Council's Policy and Finance meeting. This meeting will be held under the regulations allowing local authorities to meet formally using remote technology. It's being streamed live and is available on our website. It's important for everybody participating in this meeting to keep your mics on mute when you are not speaking to reduce disruption from background noise. Most decisions will be made by general assent. However, if a vote is required, each councillor's name will be read out by either myself or the town clerk, and you'll be asked to state whether you are for, against, or abstaining. If at any time the town council's technology fails and we need to adjourn the meeting for a short period, I will confirm this and ask all those present to turn their cameras off and mute their mics while the problem is rectified, and I will then confirm when the meeting resumes. We can only monitor our technology and can't halt the meeting if a member of the press or public experiences technology issues. I will now ask the town clerk to carry out a roll call of all the councillors and ask to confirm that you are present by saying present. Peter.
Councillor Blanchard Cooper.
Present.
Councillor Chase.
Present.
Councillor Long.
Present.
Councillor Northeast. Not present. Councillor Rhodes. Not present. Councillor Dr. Walsh.
Present. Right, thank you very much for that. We'll move on to the agenda. Can I just remind everybody to switch their mobile phones off to silent or airplane mode for the duration of the meeting. Has anybody sent their apologies?
With no apologies, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Moving on then to the declaration of interest. Has anybody got any declarations of interest to carry on items on the agenda? I do, and that's in relation to the standing order item, because it's to do with the enhancements and the public realm works, which of course is coming through Arran as well. Arran District Council, I'm a member, leader of indeed. Any other interests?
If I may interest as a member of Arran District Council, but there's various items, and I believe that's already recorded in my interests.
Yes, it was just that I made that one because of it was a specific one. Yeah. Right, if we can then move on to no other interest declared. Then can we move on to item 4, the minutes, on pages 4 to 12 of the agenda. If everybody's happy with these minutes and approves them, I'll make arrangements to sign them at a later date, and this will be reflected in the minutes of the meeting. Anybody against signing those as correct? No, so that's approved, thank you. Item 5, my report and urgent items. Are there any urgent items, Peter?
There are none, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed. We then move on to item 6, public forum, and I believe we have one question from Derek Chester. Is somebody going to read that out, or do they want me to read it out?
I think you were going to, Chair, but I can step in if you wish.
Well, I'm going to answer it, so it's probably better if you read it and then I'll answer it.
Okay. Mr. Chester has written to us asking the committee to please consider using the proposed AR app as a quality replacement for the Maritime Heritage exhibition we lost from what was previously the Look and See Centre, and if possible, incorporate a visit to the viewing tower within it. An audio loop in the viewing tower could tell the story of Littlehampton whilst people enjoy the view. A great opportunity to work with the new leaseholder there, as visitors may purchase refreshments.
Thanks, Peter, for reading that out from Derek Chester. I really do want to thank Derek Chester for his representation and suggestion. We're still investigating how an augmented reality might look, but I can confirm that should the app proceed, the town
I believe there has been some difficulties with Councillor Walsh's feed.
Yeah. Indeed. Could we adjourn briefly? Members, would you be happy to do that?
I've got Peter, but I haven't got anything else at the moment.
Could we adjourn for 2 minutes, please, councillors?
Thank you.
So we're adjourned. James, if you can hear me.
I can hear you perfectly. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, you froze and no one lost the answer. Shall I? Would you like me to read the answer?
No,
I think you were.
I'm just trying to.
We're adjourned,
before
James, but public.
Yeah, we're still adjourned. That's fine. I'm just going to try and sort out, because I think it's my Wi-Fi signal here. I can do it very quickly on this on my other one, but I can't do it quickly on this one. Let me just try and find.
James, but adjourned.
Sorry?
We're still public, but adjourned.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just trying to sort this out. It'll be under settings, I think. Let me have a look. I'm now back and it should be all okay. So let's go live again.
Okay. Back to you then,
Right.
Chair.
Thanks
All
very
ready to
much. Okay, so if I can again start by really thanking Derek Chester for his representation and suggestion. We're still investigating how an augmented reality might look, but I can confirm that should the app proceed, the town's maritime history will be one of the key features of it. No doubt members will want to discuss this further when we come to consider the report later on this evening. We'll be looking to pick up this element to meet Aaron's objectives. They are hopefully funding the extended riverside and seafront part of the app. When we know more about the scope of the app, we'll be in a better position to see how it might fit in. Thank you very much. We'll then turn to the next item on the agenda, item 7, Officers' Reports, which begin on page 13 of your agenda papers. And I'll hand over to the Town Clerk to take us through this report, starting with 7.1, which is the urgent action.
It is. Thank you, Chair. This is links across to a later item on the agenda and explains the action that was needed to take to meet the costs of the video logs. I was going to call them vlogs, but I'm not sure if that's correct. And I'm happy to answer any questions on it, Chair.
Anybody got any questions? No, thanks very much indeed. So we note those. Thank you. Everybody happy to note that. And we'll move on to 7.2 Town Centre events, which are on pages 15 to 21. Again, over to you, Peter.
Thank you, Chair. The Town Centre events are part of this four-pronged approach to trying to keep the town centre, initially, to be fair, to revitalise the town centre, but now to keep it vibrant through our ongoing COVID issues. The car parking is one of those. The town centre plan is another. The town centre regeneration officer is the third part, and the fourth has been these town centre events. A large part of that has been joint funded with the district council, which is pleasing. The town centre events element has been constrained by the inability, because of COVID, to hold significant events in the town centre. However, perhaps the need to try and entice people into town centre is greater than it's ever been. We need people to be talking about the town centre, obviously just to encourage footfall, people to come and have coffees, buy things, etc., etc. Very difficult when you're trying to say to people socially distance, etc., etc. So the events part of it has largely stood back. But this report sets out what has been done, what is happening, but also moves into a new area, which is to try and get local and regional art into the town centre. And this is a key element for us. It comes with a peril factor because we don't know when some of this will be able to happen because of COVID. We hope that this is aiming for next spring through the summer to the early autumn, that we'll be okay for that. I can't hand on heart tell you that we will be. We won't commit any money to something that we can't deliver, but it is really an exciting option, and it's part of some of the work that Aaron have been doing as well on art on the arts in the district. And we've worked with their officer on this, and she has come up with some quite interesting proposals which are set out in the appendix. So really, I'm happy to answer any questions on the general town centre events programme at the moment, but also would seek members' approval with regard to the arts element of it.
Thanks very much, Peter. I'll open it up to members, but if I can just chip in first. As I said in my answer to Derek Chester's question, I think the augmented reality really is an innovative and exciting use of the newer technology that young people in particular, but actually increasingly middle-aged and older adults are using because their grandchildren are introducing them to it. It's fantastic. So I'm very keen to press ahead with that. And as I said earlier, specifically the maritime history, but there are many other bits, and some of them are referred to in the report in paragraph 1.5 with children's myths and legends. I think we can stretch a point and go up as far as the Knucker Hole in Leominster and the Leominster Dragon, etc. So there's a lot to do, and I'm really quite excited about that. Equally, the blank wall spaces in phase 2, not just the old Waitrose site, but I know we're looking in the High Street public realm at a couple of the end walls, one at the western end of the High Street and one, I think, at Clifton Road, for using those blank spaces as part of the artwork to enhance and lift the eyes and lift the mood of the public using our shopping centre. So I'm very excited about it and interested to hear what other members say before we get to the recommendation. So who would like to speak? Have I got a list somewhere? Yes, I have. I've got Billy who wishes to speak. So Billy Blanchard Cooper, Councillor Billy Blanchard Cooper, please.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. I think this is a very good idea. I think that finding out about doing this augmented reality is quite an interesting step forward. I mean, who would have thought that the town council would have been involved in something like this 10 years ago, even? My only faults with this, and it's just a fault, that looking at the locations, and I might be wrong on this, I don't see how it's coaxing people from the seafront into the town. We're a seaside town and we have lots of seaside visitors in the summer. I see it that we need something there, which is when people go there, that's where they start from, as almost the tip bit, like you would have a cat. You put the little nugget there and then they follow it, so that you entice them into the town, because when they're first visiting, a lot of people pull up at the seafront, as we know. They go straight there. They don't go into our town centre. They don't spend the money there, which is why I'm surprised. I might be wrong. I'm just asking, am I missing something as to why we've not got anything focused at the seafront part to bring people in? Thank you.
Very good question, Billy, and I'll ask Peter perhaps to comment on that.
It's a very good question, and it's almost the mythical quest, because I go back too far, I think, and every single person has talked about, every study that's ever been done connecting the seafront, the river and the town, triangles have been drawn and very little has actually ever been achieved. And it is very difficult to draw people who come down to the beach into the town centre. The two don't lend themselves to it. Personally, I think the the fact that the district council has been prepared to join us, even more so on the augmented reality app, is a fantastically good way of doing that, because initially the augmented reality app was about the town centre largely. It didn't involve the riverside and didn't involve the seafront. But talking to Aaron, I managed to suddenly recall the fact that there were funds sitting over at Aaron for the look and see about using IT, using various bits and pieces to link that in, and thought that that could extend to the river and to the seafront. Because obviously there are major attractions on the seafront, not least Harbour Park, East Beach Cafe, all these things have got a link. So what I'm anticipating, and I'm too old in the tooth to say here and promise you, what I'm anticipating is that this could be the first logical way of conducting people from one to the other, because they should want to follow the app. So there would be a logical route to follow on the app, along the seafront if you went one way, following up the riverside into the town to follow on to the next point of interest on the app. So it's not, we won't get everybody by any means, but it hopefully will start to encourage that through flow, because it's been often talked about, but very, very rarely, well, I don't think it's ever been delivered.
Thanks, Peter, for that. I've got Jill Long next, please.
Sorry,
Jill.
am I allowed to come back?
Oh, yes, sorry, Billy, of
Jill.
course you can come back.
So I just wanted to come back on that and just ask. I think what Peter said is very sensible. I am just wondering, are we able to, through this committee and through yourself, Chair, to actually try and ask to have a location included in this along the seafront, so we do make that link?
It will be. It's sorry, through you, Chair. It categorically will be. That's
Wonderful.
The point of the second part. The seafront, the riverside, are the bit that are added in with that additional Aaron money.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Thank you ever so much, Peter. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Billy. And I think the key to it actually, and it has been spreading a lot in the last couple of years, the enhanced Riverside Walk. A lot more people now do know about that and are using it. And hence, I think we're not discussing this tonight, but the enforced and experimental closure of Pier Road during the earlier part of the pandemic through the summer season was a good experiment. When we come to consider the findings from that, I think that will be another element in actually making those links between the seafront and the town centre, or the town centre and the seafront. Right, I'm sorry for the false start, Jill. Let's bring you in now. Councillor Jill Long.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, really following up on what Billy was saying, apart from anything else, £30,000 just sounds like an awful lot of money. I have no idea how much these app developments actually cost. I don't know if there's a bit more detail on any of that. Thank
Peter,
you.
can you help us on that? Of course, a lot of the money is coming from the well, some of the money, a lot of the money. I said some of the money is coming from the government grants to help us with this as well. We were in the dark in a major way, because I don't pretend that I know the cost of these apps. And when it was suggested, Kieran very kindly and went out and tried to sort of get some ballpark figures. Now we will need to go out to tender for it anyway, but we were told roughly that for each location, to create the app for each location, these are very ballpark figures, so you'd be looking at about £2,000 per location to set it up. So we're looking at 8 town centre locations. Then the potential is to extend that by a further 8 locations on the riverside and seafront. So we're looking very much ballpark about £2,000 per location, which, when you think about it, there's a sort of overarching cost of producing the app, but there's quite a lot of creation that needs to go into each element to make it something that people would want to go into. So I take your point. I have to admit, when I first did some soundings on it, the figures initially scared me off, but these are much more, they're within our budget to be able to deliver it, but most importantly, it means that we can do it and develop it in the future, add bits, play with it in the future. Okay, there's revenue costs to that, but we can expand it as much as we like to.
So, and we know how much each bit would then cost as an incremental bit.
It is also a highly competitive field, and in fact, when the tenders come in, I would imagine we will get a competitive tendering situation, which will pitch hopefully at the lower end, the middle, and a few who won't want to get it at the top end of the market.
Okay, can I just come back on that? I'm not sure how well this might be received given the current climate where there's the threat of young school children going without lunches and all the rest of it. And I know we're talking about different sections of society and different pots of money, but it's just trying to get that balance. I think, yes, I want to see things progress. At the end of the day, that's our motto, and I'm all for anything that takes us forward, but hesitant, as I say, just given the current climate. Not sure what we can do about it, but as you say, because it's new technology, it will be competitive. There will be a lot of people will be wanting to help us do it. So let's hope that some reasonable tenders come in that we can take forward. Thank you.
It is. Can I just respond very slightly to that? And I think that point, Councillor Long, is absolutely valid. I think at the same time, it is really, I think the thinking that both the district and the town council put in was how important it was to try and boost the high street to the town centre, because if we don't, it will fade away. And that, so whilst all the other elements are there, and the points you make, and there are many other concerns in society at the time, at this time, I think our successors would not think highly of us if we'd taken our eye off the ball of the town centre, because once it's gone, it's gone.
Well, I would go further than that as well. Quite a lot of people's livelihoods depend upon the town centre and vitality of it. If we actually begin to lose even more of the town centre, more people's livelihoods and earning capacity will diminish, and in fact make the plight of children worse in and around the town. And although I think we're all sharing in the really widespread and genuine and heartfelt concern about children's nutrition, etc., and I'm fully on board with Marcus Rashford and others on that, let's not get carried away with this. We can't do anything else until we've sorted this out. We're not actually pressing the button to spend the money tonight. We're actually looking at ways, and of course the budget is there, and then we have to approve it once the tenders come in. So we're not actually saying, yes, we're going to spend this money. We don't know exactly how much money now. So I share your concerns, but I think we have to continue as a forward-looking authority. Our motto is progress, after all, to look to the future so that we can actually make sure that we're laying the plans, even if some of them may not be delivered either as quickly or as up to the budget that we may be thinking about at the moment. So I think we've got to go ahead with it. Billy else has asked if he wants to come, if he can come back in. Councillor Blanchard Cooper.
Thank you, Chair. I think Jill's made some good points, and it was funny enough something that was playing in the back of my mind. I am just wondering with this app, and I appreciate we're in kind of the discussion stages at the moment, which is why I thought I'd mention it now. Obviously, and I think Peter's touched on this, I would be wanting to see some figures regarding maintenance. Because apps do fail, so some figures on maintenance and how to update it, because with all these things, with anything involving history changes, history gets updated, we find out new bits of history, so I'll be very keen to see that included, so I'm just kind of mentioning that now. As well as, and I think Jill's made a good point regarding money in these terms. I wonder, is there options for looking at things such as sponsorship with apps, finding ways of generating revenue, and could it be that there are links to different apps for other companies within the town? I don't fully understand how apps work. I download one on my phone, I use it, but if we could explore if there's any options for making a bit of money for it to help our own revenue, but also how we can link in with the local businesses to support them, because there may be ways that if you're near a certain restaurant, that it links into theirs and pops up with 2-for-1 voucher. I don't know, but it could be different things like that, and I'm sure that'd be explored, and I think that'd be a great way of the town actually support the council supporting different businesses throughout the town if we could investigate elements of that in it. So thank you.
Thanks, Billy. Very, very helpful.
Can I respond to that? Because
Yeah.
what Councillor Bantel Cooper's done is actually take a nice chunk of the draft tender spec that we've created and highlight them. In fact, you carried on much more. I thought you'd have been reading off it. But two of the things that you mentioned are the maintenance costs and so on. That will be very much part of the tender. The ability to add to it, very, very important. And one element that we very much talked about is the ability, exactly as you say, for special offers in the town and things like that to be incorporated onto it, to build in with the local, to encourage the local retailers to want to put ownership to try and generate their own footfall through it. So that's a key bit. In terms of obtaining sponsorship for the whole app, I think that would be difficult at the word go. However, if it was very successful, I think we might then we'd be much more likely to find someone. So for its longer term running.
Thanks, Peter, for that. Happy with that, Billy? So, lovely, thank you. Right, I've got the Mayor, Councillor David Chase wants to come in. David?
Chairman, I'm fine now. Your summary and the town summary and the other questions from the councillors has sorted out the little questions I had, so everything's fine for now.
Thanks very much, that's good to hear. Always happy when the Mayor's happy. Right, I haven't got anybody else, so I think we can then move to the recommendations, which are on page 15, and they are there. I'm not going to read them out to you. You've got them 1, 2, 3 and 4. Are we happy then to approve those recommendations? Can I ask if anybody is unhappy to approve them? No? So I think we've approved those unanimously. So thank you very much to Peter and the team for putting that together. And we move on then to item 7.3, the Mayor's vlogs, video vlogs. I think the correct acronym is vlog. It sounds vaguely Slavic, but it's over to you, Peter.
Indeed. So the Mayor did some very well received vlogs, and as you'll note, as members would have picked up with the urgent action that went through. So what we've had to do is realise that if we were going to continue to do them, obviously we were over budget in the first place, as covered by the urgent action, but to put into place provision to do more. So if members wish to do more, this report suggests how we might fund those for the remainder of this year. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Peter. Well, I was a complete stranger to vlogs before the pandemic broke, and of course over the road at Arran I was doing weekly ones during the lockdown and since moved on to fortnightly ones, and equally they've been well received and we've learned to get better at it. So it's obviously something that is with us certainly during the rest of the pandemic. Whether they'll remain afterwards is for the future. I'm very supportive of this because I think it's a modern means of communication. Lots of people value it, and it keeps that human touch, which is important when we're not actually having physical meetings. So I'm very supportive and would commend the suggested allocation of funds from the budget. Any other councillors wish to comment? No? I take it then that we're in general agreement that this is the right thing to do. So can I again ask if we're all supportive of the recommendations by asking if anybody is against 1, 2 and 3. Sorry, Julie, you wanted to come in?
Thank you.
Sorry, you came in rather later. It's all right, no problem.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, it's, you know, hand-eye coordination at the moment. It's a bit difficult. I'm so sorry, but trying to click on the right bit.
No problem.
As you say, this is the way of the world at the moment. And I think that direct connection with residents and whoever else wants to have a look at these is very important. Apart from anything else, people like to know that the mayor and councillors are there and are visible, literally visible, whether it be on a small screen in front of them, a larger screen at home, whatever. And given the difficulties in undertaking the sorts of duties that the mayor would normally do, I think that David has done an absolutely sterling job, and yourself on behalf of Aaron. And I'm supportive of this because, as I say, way of the world, and let's take it forward. It may well be that we continue it afterwards because it's a very simple way of connecting with people. Thank you.
Thanks, Jill, and thanks for your kind remarks, both about David and myself over at Aaron. Anyone else before I move to the vote? Nobody else has put their name in. So to return to the recommendations are set out on page 22, and the suggested allocation of funds, which I think are very good value for money and can be met from the existing Town Centre Initiative budget. So is anybody opposed to the recommendation? No, I'll take that then as a unanimous approval of those three recommendations. And I think that brings us to the end of the business. Yes, there is no exempt business, so that brings us to the end of the business for this meeting, and I can declare that the meeting completed at 7:04. And if we can cease the webcast, please. If we can all keep quiet.